Possible to create delete single resources with Terraform apply destroy? When I'm going for apply, I want to apply to a specific resource, not every resources. I have 1,000 resources mentioned in my configuration file, but when I want to go for apply or when I want to go for destroy, I want that specific to be deleted. Example, 10 servers I launched, but out of 10 I want to remove only one server. But when I say destroy, everything is destroying. Can I pick up? Can I filter it? Yes. There's a option called what? Target. After your destroy or apply, you have a target and the resource name, resource.name. That means whatever the name you specified in the configuration file, you have to specify that name so it will destroy that only specific thing. So this is going to be a question, interview question. Can I go with that? Suppose you created an AWS EC2 instance, S3 bucket and related roles and policies using Terraform. And now you want to delete EC2 instance, not S3 bucket or something, which uses Ubuntu AMI. In that case, you will just use the target option and will target the specific resources. That's the way you can destroy. We can write Terraform destroy hyphen target. It's a kind of flag. After your command, Terraform destroys a command. Hyphen target is a flag or your option of a command. Is equal to resource name. It should be single quote. Done. Everyone done this. Auto approve. Target option. When to use it. Now Terraform variables. The concept comes in every programming. You'll find variables option. Variable makes your programming modification. That means when you do modification more and more, it makes easy. Without variable also you can just write your program with provider block and resource block and you can finish your work. But when you want to do modification, alteration or something in a code in a frequent manner, it's good to have what? Variable. You have to work a separate file called variable and you can create a short name for that particular resources and you can easily change on multiple files. Example I'll show you here. You have a file 1, you have a file 2, you have a file 3 in a one project directory. In a one project directory. This is your one project directory and you have created multiple Terraform files. Configuration file. You have a provider block, provider file. That means you want to give credentials .tf. You have a network related file. You have storage related file. I want to give this. So I have same thing, security related file. So now what I want to create a one more file in the same directory. Same you can say same project directory. I want to create one more file which can make my job easily modification. I want to create one more file called variable.tf. All extension will be tf. You can give a name to identify the file. So store what? I want to store credential. I want to say region. Region is equal to what? I want to say the variable I want to make what? U2. UA2 is equal to what? I'll say US is 2. When I store this actual value with my customized value, that means now this name can be called as what? UA2. I'm defining some name to my actual values. So that makes sense. So in the provider, you're writing something, region. In the region, you do not type US is 2. You type what? UA2. That means it will refer this variable name from this file. So now it will pick up from here. So if I want to change something here later, I want to change some region. So I can say what? Not Virginia, US East 1. So now if I say change an example, if I want to change to UA2, UAE1, it will go for East 1. I can define multiple variables here and I can change the value. Or else you can say what? UA, that means you want to just change this value. What is that? You want to say US West 1 or 2. If I give this, that means if I replace this, if I delete this and if I keep that, and if I replace this, so no need to change here. Automatically the value will be affected to the UA2, whatever I have given. That means automatically it will affect on this because the value changed. So no need to do configuration or modification on the files level. So you can do everything changes here. If you want to do modification, whatever the common names, you have a username password. That means access key and secret key. You can store it. If you want to change, you don't need to go forward your provider file. You can change it from here. You have a security group, inbound rules. Rule 1. You want to define the name called rule 1 and you want to say what? Allow port number 443. Whatever the rule you have defined, you just create here, you store it here. You don't directly go for hard-coded value. Hard-coded value means you are not giving direct value in the configuration files. You just pick that particular value from the variable file, not directly. Because in future, if I want to do changes, I'm not going to open sometimes security group, sometimes network, sometimes storage, sometimes provider. I want to just open only one file called variable file. Now cider block value, I can store it. I want to go forward your VPC region and everything. Now I want to find out the common configuration for all the resources I can give here. It is frequently modified. So that makes my easy of modification option. In spite of opening and doing some changes on different files, VI storage, VI security, VI network, VI provider and changing, it's going to take a lot of problems. So if you have one file and if you change here, automatically it affects what? All the values. That's called a variable. Is it clear? Is to allocate memory space with a user-defined name at runtime. User want to input value at runtime. Yes, it's possible using variables. Dynamic value. So the value will not be in a static. It can be dynamic, and the modification can be simple. Can be easily modified in the Terraform for more frequent changes. How to declare variable? So you have to create one file. To declare variable, you have to use which block? Variable block. Provider block, resource block we have seen. Now there is a block called what? Variable. And the variable name, whatever you want to give a name, friendly name. You say reg1, you can give reg1. And the default value you can store the actual value, US East 1. So now whatever the name you have defined. So declaring a variable, how to declare a variable, in interview question they can ask, what is variable and how to declare and what's the benefit. How to call variable, suppose you are into provider block and you want to call this stored value. So when you say region var dot reg, example you have given this, the variable name is what you have given reg. So when I say that var.reg, I'm not giving hard-coded value. I'm not giving direct value here because the value is stored here. So I can use my simple name. I don't want to use complicated names here. So I can easily modify. I can do that. So when I say var.reg, always it will find a variable block in other files and it will fetch it. Runtime change variable. Can I change the runtime? Yes. You have to understand this option. Auto approve, I said already. Target, I said already. Var reg, var, the variable name and the resource name. I given US2, but I can, while running, I can change word US1 also. So is it possible to change on runtime? Yes. And how to declare variable? How to call the variables? This is the way you weigh. Please write down this. So it's recommended to go for variable to have when you have a complication files and lot of files and lot of modifications. So no need to go for opening multiple files. You open single file and you edit the value. Automatically it affect to the provider block or resource block. So that means it's going to be a dynamic value. Done, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Everyone?
Yes.
So variable can have what? Data types. That means if you want to store multiple values, you have data type called what? Map. You have image 1, that is your AMI image, Linux, Ubuntu or AWS or Windows. You can store multiple AMIs into what type of data? Can I store multiple values? Yes, you have a map data type. If you want to store the string value, that means the alphanumerical values. So by default is a string value, that's why we don't go for what? Type. But while declaring variable, you can say type and you can declare what type of data, string or map. Remember this point.
So, can you once say a map type variable?
Whenever you're storing some value, so Terraform need to know what kind of data type is this. Is it a numerical value? Is it a kind of alphanumerical value? And are you using multiple values? You want to store multiple values? Your map is a multiple value. That means array. Array is basically hold multiple values in a single variable. So same thing, map is going to be here when you define multiple images and you want to store it. And you can easily call sometime Ubuntu, sometime Red Hat, sometime Windows, you can call easily. No need to define multiple variable names. Only one variable name can have multiple values and you can call with your sub value. How to declare a multiple of multiple resources value. Example, if I say reg USD is 1, that means I have defined a variable name called reg. I uses this actual value. AK access key. I define the access actual value into AK. So in the resource block, I'm going to call this AK, SK, and reg. I don't want to go forward the actual value. So I can store everything in one file. I can call it. How to call? You have to say in the variable when you have a key and value. This is going to be what? Key. This is going to be value. So you're not going to go with hard coded value. You just reference value. Hard coded value is directly value, and reference value is what? Referring from the variable. So you have to say var dot the variable name, var dot variable name, var dot variable name. So it will catch up. You do not need to bother about this directly. And later, if you want to modify anything, you just modify into the variable file, single file. You can do modification on hundreds of files. If you want to build instance under resource, what is the resource name? AWS instance. And you have some two parameters, AMI instance, what image instance type, and the image. The system will be ready automatically with the default steps. But you have to give what? AMI instance type is very important. Is it clear?
Yes.
Instance build and production. Now, this very important option here in the instance, you have a find what? User data. In launching the instance of your AWS, you find an option called what? User data. What is user data? Is a kind of EC2 instance option where you can declare some script, shell script, Python script, what it may be. So for further tasks, it can be very faster to set up the application also. So you can have user data, and you have option called production, life skill and prevent history. In the life skill, there is a kind of option called prevent history, destroy. That means is equal to true. The life cycle of Terraform is what? Example, I have launched a T2 micro earlier, but I changed later. I changed what? T3 or T4 or something, C5. I change the value. When I say apply again, it will do what? It will destroy the existing instance. Again, it will create what? New instance. It's a drawback. So now in the life cycle, you can change the default workflow or default life cycle behavior of the Terraform with a block called what? Life cycle block. So when you say life cycle, you have a prevent destroy is equal to true. That means now it will not destroy. The behavior of the Terraform will go with what? Terraform destroy. When you say it will not destroy the resource first. It will create resource, then it will destroy. That means when you want a protection from the deletion, sorry, prevent destroy. I'm sorry, this is not that. Prevent destroy means it will you have in your these things in EC2 you have a word prevent termination. That means user cannot terminate the machine. Same thing if you want to prevent the more important, you have EC2 servers. You want to say that prevent destroy. So if do someone manually destroy, that definitely it affects on that. That's why you have to prevent destroy. Done. Now you have to write down the security group,
Sir,
some
sir,
block.
can you repeat that prevent and destroy?
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Can you repeat that prevent and destroy?
Which one?
Prevent and destroy. You just
Prevent
expand.
destroy means it's like uh, preventing from the destroy from the Terraform. Example, you say Terraform destroy. It will destroy what? All the resources what you have created. But
Yes.
I want it should prevent. It should say that you cannot delete this. It is protected. That's why in the EC2's resource block, I can create a lifecycle destroy, prevent destroy.
Okay.
That means it will not destroy. It will not destroy the resources which is are filtered.
Okay, sir.
Security group. How to create a security group? You have to understand the security group. Resource like how to write. You have written word VPC subname, and then go for security group. EC2 instance also you have done. Now the script for what? Security group. Resource security group. The name friendly name here. Ingress means inbound ports. 8080, 80, 80, and 8 something. You want to go for 8080 and 80 port number to be allowed. From and to. If you give from and to, cider block 00 means anywhere. The cider block you want some IP, then you have to give the specify IP that anyone should not connect to your network. Is it clear, everyone? Write down this, very important. How to declare a security group resource, how to declare instance, how to declare a VPC, how to declare a subnet, at least you should know. Done?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That means in interview, if they say some code, please say that how do you write your security group resource block? How do you go for your VPC subnet? How do you make it something? Give example of resource. How do you write it? You should remember or memorize. And when you're doing Terraform, try to do manually, type it, all the commands, at least 5 to 6. I'll give exercises. You have to do a lot of things, okay? But this is understanding purpose, separate code. But you have to do a project on the Terraform. I'll give you that. Cider block 00 means from anywhere. Anyone can access. Which allowed? From code is allowed code. When you say that, and it's going to be what? To means what? It's going to be in and out. Now, create resources before they destroyed. That's going to be this. Protection is different. Life cycle under a life cycle, you have said what? Destroy protection true. But this is also very important here in the equation. I want that I have created hundreds of resources, server, storage, network, lot of things. Now I have 20 instances are running with a web server, application database server. I have modified something there. In the EC2 instance, I have changed that, upgrade that particular EC2 instance type, or I have changed some kind of key pair. I have changed something like here, some parameters and values in the particular resource block. So when I say Terraform apply, it will do what? It will remove that instance and it will launch new, replace with a new configuration what you have specified. That means the default behavior of Terraform is what? Destroy and create a new. So imagine that you're running in a real-time production and you find what? When you say destroy and this, and after destroying, it is trying to create. What happened? We got some errors. So now the machine is not available because it's stuck, it's destroyed already and it's not available. That means it's not able to create. So it's not good practice. The practice should be what? I need to say Terraform, don't do this. I want to change the behavior of the Terraform. So I want to say that please first create and delete. So what the option I am going to use under this EC2 instance? We have an option called what? You have to check out. This is going to be very important option also. You have how many arguments are there? AMI, instance type, VP security group. Security group, you can see that. How do you refer the dependent component? That means when you launch the EC2 instance in your AWS, you're going to define the security group. Security group is a separate component resource. So you have to say the security group ID, dot ID. Dot ID means referring to that particular resource block that I'm saying that please use the security group what I have created in another block. So you have to give a proper block ID. That means block name, resource name, then dot ID. ID is nothing but a what? Reference of the dependent resource. Remember this interview question. Why do you give dot ID? It's a reference of what? In another block, the resource block. We can give the example of what? VP security group. So you have common AMI, instance type, VPC security group, user data. These are the parameter you specify in your instance creation. Even you have a subnet, VPC, the subnet also. Subnet is very important. That means where you want to launch, which subnet. You have a parameter of subnet, AMI, instance type, security group, user data. These all things you can define while creating instance. I have written some kind of script and the user data. When I create, automatically the application Nginx, Tomcat, WordPress can be installed with your Terraform. It's not only operating system, it can install application by using this script. Done with this?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now in this instance, you have a tag option. Tag is a kind of block. You can see that a separate block. Tag is basically to give a resource name, right? And lifecycle is what? To protect from the destroy and as well as create before destroy. These two parameters in the life skill block. You have to understand, you have to say in interview. Life skill, a block can protect from the destroy sensitive resources. We don't want to destroy because a production server should have this kind of like declaration. Create before destroy. As I said already, the process of default of Terraform when you say like apply and you did some changes, So whenever you do changes in instance values, it will destroy that again and it will create another with the same again modified value. But I don't want it to take risk. I want that, don't do that. I want to say that create before destroy. That's true. That's going to be good in a real-time practice. Done? Life cycle you have to write. How to write life cycle.
Yes.
In interview you can give the answer properly. So if you want to define security group as you written something the security group parameter, that means that resource block, and in that type from port to port protocol security group, that means you have to give what type from port to port and protocol is common. It's very important. If you want to define one rule, you have to use what type from to protocol. That means 4 lines you have to write. If you want to define 5 rules, that means 4 multiplied by 5, how much?
20.
20. That means to define only 4 rules or 5 rules, you have to define, you have to get what 20 lines. That means you're wasting time. How can I make this in a repeated? That means the port, I want that the type from to protocol is repeating in everything, only the values changing, sometime 80, sometime 443 something. So if I want to do this in a loop manner, can I loop that particular value, that means parameters again and again with different values, so it can reduce my number of lines? Is it possible in Terraform to make repeated arguments can be used with the loop option and to avoid the time?
As possible. Yes.
That is called what? What is the option they go? What is the option we
Life
call?
cycle.
We call dynamic block. Understand that dynamic block. Why we use dynamic block? To make a loop. I'll give example of dynamic block, but answer is what? To avoid the number of lines, wasting of times and file size. If your file size is heavy, the execution time will take a lot of time. But if you have a loop option that makes save a lot of time of the number of lines can be saved. That's why we go for which block? Dynamic block. Answer is what? Yes, you can use dynamic block and you can reduce the number of lines while defining the rules in security group. You can give example directly with security group. Done? One more, this option. It's very important. This option. Concentrate on this. This option is under what? Your instance resource block. It's an argument. User data and you have some script. It's a very big script. WordPress or MySQL or something. You have a lot of big script. So it should not be defined under the file. It will take a lot of time. You should not write in the configuration file. You should write outside a script. You have to store it in your project directory. And you can call with this file function. Remember this point. In user data, you can use a file function of Terraform which can call external file to execute it. How can I execute external file from the Terraform? That is shell script, or you have a Python script or something. How can you do that? Yes, with the help of user data is equal to your format is what? $, then you have to make a flower bracket, then file is a function. Then you have to say what? The name of the file, which file you want to execute, you want to call it. So recommended that you have to make a note that the script file should be written outside. Do not store in the configuration file and call with the file function. And one more point to be written here, count. There's a one more argument called count in the instance. In an interview question, they can say, if I want to create instance, 5 instance, same parameters, that means I want to create 5 web servers with the instance type, AMI, and the security group, subnet, user data, everything is same. Can I create 5 with a single block? Yes. Use count is equal to 5. We just specify the argument called count is equal to 5. It will create multiple 5 machine instance with the same parameters. So the common parameter used while creating instance, we can see that AMI, instance type, font, security group, user data, subnet, and as well as key pair. Remember this point. One more parameter is what? Key pair is very important. There's one more argument called what? Key. Like you can interview, you can say, mostly I use subnet, security group, instance type, AMI, key, count, tax. I'm going to use under my instance. These are the argument I pass. Please write down this once instance parameters. Yes, sir. I hope you're done. Interview question can be picked up with what? What is count? And what is user data? How can I call this kind of function like outside file? So you can say this. What is output block? Resource block, provider block, and you got a lot of blocks here, variable blocks, but what is output block here? That means after creating this instance, whatever the IP assigned by the AWS, I want to fetch that IP address. I want to see that private IP address. So I can use this to fetch that information from metadata. That's it. Output is basically, you can say, to fetch the metadata of the resources after creating, after building. And you can specify what data you want to go. A simple question, simple answer, you can say, what is output block? A provider block, a resource block, a variable block, dynamic block, you have a tag is a block, that's going to be what? Life skill is a block, and you have an output block. Then this is going to be assignment for you. I have to show one more concept called backend and vault. Backend and vault, I'll give example and you have to do something. I'll say what is backend. I'll put it on your WhatsApp group to assignment, no worries. But you have to understand all this concept. So then you'll get, because you know how to create a file, but in the file, what are the parameters, what are the arguments, what are the resources I'm going to define, why to go for variables, these all things are going to be scripting. Explain variable, dynamic block, backend. I'll give you the dynamic block kind of script, how to write, but the solution, why we do this, I have explained. To avoid number of lines and give an example directly on security group. And backend. Now understand this backend concept. Whatever you execute on your Terraform, in a Terraform server, you'll find what? A Terraform machine, you'll find Terraform tf state file. Terraform tf state file is sensitive or not? It's storing what? I'm asking a question. It's storing what? After building, it will store
The current state of the
public
resource.
IP address of your instance. That means whatever you launch, all the metadata will be stored. Public IP, key pair, which VPC, which subnet, rules, security group rules, and it will store a lot of things. Whatever you have created, all that argument will be stored into where? TF state files. That means even it will store like all this kind of thing. So now if a hacker hack your laptop, example, you're installing Terraform in your laptop is like basically it's your individual machine, so definitely is not going to be protected very well. So if they delete the Terraform state file, if they change something into this Terraform state file, if they read that file, they'll get what? A lot of sensitive information. The hacker need public IP. They need key pair information. What is a key pair? They need some subnet and VPC where you have launched your database web server. If they get this information, they can try to hack it. So it's a very sensitive file. If you're keeping a laptop, oh, it's going to be a mistake, big mistake. Local machine, you should not keep in a local machine. You have to keep this file in a remote location, that is called backend. Terraform having its own kind of cloud-based repository. Terraform having own repository, that means you can store there also, or you can store in S3, AWS S3 service. S3 with a versioning, right? So now it's good to have what? Store your Terraform state file into remote location. Don't store your Terraform information, Terraform state file into your Terraform server. It should be stored in location, separate location, right? It should be in a separate location. There are Terraform, you can say machine, a server where you install. So it will not have, only you will have what? Configuration files, not your TF state file. TF state file you have to store into Terraform cloud, or you can have S3, a backend. So it will be well protected by the provider, because Amazon is a good provider, security well, and your Terraform is having their own cloud, it's going to be secure. So hacker cannot hack easily. That means if the hacker hack, they need to fight with AWS and Terraform provider. It's not easy. Individual they can hack easily. Individual they can fight with individual users. But for a company, it's not easy. They'll have a lot of security parameters. So it's good to keep what? Your TF state file into remote location, that is called backend process. What is Terraform backend? You have to say keeping your TF state file or maintaining TF state file in a remote location like Terraform cloud or like AWS S3 is basically called what? Backend, Terraform backend. This configuration file, and you're storing what? In the provider block, you're storing credentials or not? That means username, password. Oh, it's going to be again sensitive information. So what do you do? So it's not going to store in backend. It is going to store in what? Vault. You have to keep the username password of your credential. That means you're connecting to Azure or AWS. So you have to give credential to the Terraform in the configuration file or outside. If you give this, so definitely your system, laptop, your personal computer is not a secure machine. You connect different Wi-Fi wherever you sit. Oh, it's not good. It's vulnerable. So in this perspective, in security perspective, backend and vault will come. Vault will store locally in an encrypted manner. Your username password in encrypted fashion is stored. So it's going to be very difficult hacker to hack your username password credential of your providers, use like AWS and Azure. The interview question and answer, you have to say why we use vault. Vault is a kind of technique where it can encrypt the credentials of the provider. It's stored into in a vault in an encrypted manner, so it can be protected from unauthorized users. And the backend is basically storing your TF state file and maintaining into a remote location because of security issues. So that's going to be what? Backend. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
What do you feel that it should be stored into local machine TF state and password plain without encryption? You prefer this?
No.
Security is concern. So that's why Terraform provides them security system. That backend and vault is comes under security system of your Terraform. So interview question they can ask, what is vault? What is this? Do you know about this? That's a very important question. So in assignment, I have given some options here, what you have to do. There are a lot of common questions, frequently asked questions, and I have given some kind of assignment practical also. You have to create a document of this. You have to explain in a very short and sweet with example, and you have to submit a document. Okay. And graph and module and workspace. That's going to be research work for you. Graph, module, and workspace. What is Terraform graph? What is Terraform module? What is Terraform workspace? And for steps by step, dynamic security group, dynamic block, I'll give example. You can implement, there is no problem. And the step by step process for backend, I'll give. You can do the practical. So, but now you have to clear at least this 20 or something question answers. So you can be in 70-80% you can crack your interviews very well. I'm sure that. But you need a lot of practicals. You have to confident on showing, explaining with example. Interviewer need example. If you do not give example, you're just reading and you're coming to the interview. You don't know about what is going on. Is it clear, everyone?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Yes, sir.
But I need before this assignment, you have to do your practicals, creating other resources, right? By your configuration file, understanding Terraform state file. Then once you have done your VPC, subnet, or security group, or user instance, done. You understand the lifecycle block and variable with a variable. Then you can go for assignment. It's good to go, right? In assignment, I have given a lot of things to create these, that, something. You have to go. So that's about all Terraform. Do the practice, understand the concept. If you want to go into Terraform now, after understanding concept and logic, you have to write scripts for different resources, S3, VPC, subnet, right? You have to do a lot of things. So that's all about Terraform. If you do this assignment, you'll get a lot of practice. And you have to use ChatGPT, you have to say Google. Whenever you have something like whatever assignment I'm giving, you have to use, then you have to come for me. I've done, I've researched this, that, but I'm not understanding, I'm getting a lot of problem. Then you have to say that. And if you're just typing and you just panic and you don't want to go, you just feel that you're weak and you just come to me. It's not good. You have to be very strong. You have to search your own confidence. You have to be on your own foot. That means you have to stand in a very bold manner. Then you search and then come up, yes, I have done all the search and I'm not getting this. Then we can go with that. But whenever I give assignment, don't give up very soon. Always very strong. And document to be created and submitted, please. Any question for me?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Tomorrow, I want to see everyone here face to face. We'll have a tea, coffee. We'll discuss something about the subject, what we have done. We'll talk in a friendly manner. Be open and talk. Don't take a lot of stress. If you're not able to say, I'll help you. No, this way you have to say, this way. You just make a point. Just 30 minutes, 40 minutes or 1 hour. Okay? Everyone is coming or not? What happened? Mic is not working?
Yes, sir, inshallah.
Yes, yes, sir, coming.
Yes, sir.
It's hard to say, right? Okay, but I'm waiting for you, everyone. Saturday, 10:30. You have to be 10:15. When I say 10:30, you have to be here 10:15.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.